Some ghost stories have a mysterious origin and are never quite solved as far as what caused the haunting to occur. This is the story of two brutal slayings whose murderer has yet to be identified, and a Victorian-era lady at the center of suspicion. The twisted case of Lizzie Borden is next on The Ghost Discoverer. Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. The poem was well known in the 1800s due to the shocking nature of the story. Both children and adults throughout the country would recite the ghoulish poem after hearing the bloody story that supposedly took place at the hands of an unassuming and well-to-do 32-year-old young lady. Lizzie was the second daughter of Andrew Borden and his wife Sarah. 3 years after Lizzie was born, her mother passed away in 1863. 3 years after her death, Andrew married Abby Gray. Lizzie and Abby's relationship was cordial, but strained. Lizzie believing that Abby only married her father for his money and the prestige of living in high society. Lizzie and her older sister Emma grew up very social and active in the church. Lizzie would often teach Sunday school along with some of the other ladies in the community. Despite the Borden's wealth, Andrew was reportedly very frugal with his money. However, Andrew on multiple occasions would give Abby's family property and houses as gifts. No question furthering Lizzie's suspicion of her stepmother's motives. 3 months before the murders, Andrew had killed several pigeons with a hatchet in his barn. He believed the birds were attracting locals that would hunt on his property. Lizzie, who was an animal lover, had built a roost for the pigeons and was shocked at the discovery. Several days before the murders would take place, the Borden family became extremely sick with an unknown illness. The mysterious illness was reportedly blamed on mutton that had gone bad, according to a family friend. But Abby was not convinced, and suspected poison was the culprit. The morning of the murders began like any other day in the Borden household. Around 7 a.m., Andrew had breakfast with John Morse, Lizzie's maternal uncle, who had previously stayed the night in the guest room. Morse and Andrew had been discussing possible business opportunities the night before. The Bordens' live-in maid, Bridget Sullivan, an immigrant from Ireland, was also present in the home. According to Sullivan, Morse left the residence at 8:48 a.m. to visit his niece who lived in town, but planned to return at noon for lunch. Andrew left the house at 9 a.m. for his morning walk. Abby was busy upstairs with the daily routine of making beds and doing some light housework, and Lizzie goes to the kitchen for some light breakfast. A little after 9 a.m., Sullivan was outside now cleaning the windows for approximately an hour. Sometime during this hour, the first murder occurred. It happened upstairs in the guest bedroom. Abby at some point had been facing her attacker and turned, possibly to escape the danger of the assailant, or because she didn't feel threatened. Once her back was turned, she was struck in the back of the head with a sharp, heavy object. This blow immediately sent her to the floor face first. Another 18 furious blows directly to the back of the head would follow. At 11 a.m., Andrew returns from his walk. Sullivan greets him at the door and assists him with removing his boots. He then walks to the sitting room for a quick nap. Sullivan then takes a break from her chores and goes upstairs to her attic bedroom for some rest. According to Sullivan, Lizzie was in the home when she returns to her bedroom upstairs. Between 11 a.m. and 11:05, Andrew is killed. The murderer had been standing behind him, just inside the doorway. Then, 10 or 11 vicious strikes to the head and face come down upon him. Unlike Abby, he would not see his attacker approaching. At 11:10 a.m., a terrified Lizzie lets out a horrified scream. "Come quick! Someone has come in and killed Father." She runs to the home of neighbor Adelaide Churchill. Lizzie informs Mr. Churchill that she had been in the barn looking for fishing weights for an upcoming fishing trip the family had planned. Police soon arrive at the house and discover the horrifying scene. The bodies are quickly examined, and Lizzie is questioned. When a deputy marshal refers to Abby as her mother, it's reported that Lizzie, having been in a state of shock, quickly recovers and insists, "She is not my mother. She is my stepmother." Incredibly, an autopsy of the victims was performed on the dining room table. Police noted the brutality of the murders and quickly began searching for evidence. While investigating the basement, police noticed a hatchet that had a broken handle. Though the handle appeared recently broken due to the fresh wood showing at the break, it was not collected as evidence. Lizzie was questioned in the living room. She gave conflicting statements to police as to what she heard before the murders. Initially, she stated that she heard a disturbance or a sound of distress before she entered the home. She then changed her story, saying that she heard nothing, unaware anything had happened. Not suspecting any wrongdoing at the time, police concluded the interview and finished their examination of the bodies, but failed to inspect Lizzie's clothes for blood. On August 6th, police returned to the Borden residence to conduct a more thorough investigation. They searched each room, including Emma and Bridget Sullivan's rooms, and their clothing. They left the residence after investigating and finding a broken hatchet handle, which they took with them. Later that evening, the mayor, accompanied by a single police officer, visited the home and informed Lizzie that she was now considered a suspect in the murders. Alice Russell, a friend of both Emma and Lizzie, stayed the night to comfort them. The next day, Russell said she came downstairs to the kitchen and found Lizzie cutting up a dress and preparing to throw it on the fire because she had spilled paint on it. Alice would recount later that it was the same color dress Lizzie had worn the morning of the murders. Lizzie Borden's trial began June 5, 1893. She did not testify in her defense. Prosecutors argued that Lizzie was the only suspect with the means and the motive to kill Abby and Andrew. The verdict was returned June 20th. She was not guilty. The all-male jury believed that a crime so gruesome and shocking, it could not possibly have been committed by Lizzie. The Borden house has remained similar to what it looked like at the time of the murders. After changing owners over the years, the house is now a bed and breakfast where people can stay in one of the guest rooms of the house. According to the new owners and guests alike, a figure in a flowing white nightgown can be seen moving through the hallways and into the rooms on the second floor. Shadowy figures are also seen. There is a feeling of dread and panic when entering certain areas of the house. Voices and footsteps have also been reported, as well as a rocking chair that rocks back and forth on its own. An interesting claim has been made on several occasions from guests over the years. They claim to hear children giggling somewhere in the house, although no children were reported present at the time, and no children have died in the house. Some claim that Lizzie was innocent, and no conclusive physical evidence that tied Lizzie to the crime was ever presented at trial. Lizzie lived out the rest of her days, never speaking about the incident. The fascination with this gruesome crime and the haunted Borden house will no doubt continue to live on in horror history. But what do you think? Comment down below and let me know. Was she guilty? Did she have help? Or was it somebody else entirely? The truth has yet to be discovered.